Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session of Med Dialogue focused on Libya. I'm Arturo Varvelli, head of the ECFR Rome office, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to this panel. Welcome to Ahmed Maiteeq, welcome to Mary Fitzgerald, and welcome to anyone who is listening to us. And allow me to thank particularly ISPI for having me here. Together with our colleague Mary Fitzgerald, one of the leading experts on Libyan issues and currently associate fellow at King's College, we have the opportunity to interact with Ahmed Maiteeq, Vice President and Presidential Council of the GNA, General National Accord Government of Libya, one of the key figures of the current Libyan political landscape. Well, we have very little time, so I will start immediately by asking the first question to Vice President Maiteeq. Mr. Maiteeq, over the recent months, there has been a lot of progress in trying to solve the Libyan crisis, many negotiating tables, and many parallel tracks from a military, political, and economic point of view. A new roadmap has been established, which should lead to new election in a year's time. However, last month in Tunis, there was no agreement on the composition of a new national unity government. What have been the main obstacle to this agreement? Is it a matter of names? Meaning you could not agree on one person to entrust with guiding Libya's political transition, or is there any other political issue?
Thank you, Arturo, and thank you, Mary, for having me today. I think talking about the UN talks in Tunis, and as you know, this talk have been started some time ago since the Berlin process and the Berlin meeting. There were different meetings, and some of them was a very successful story regarding the meeting in Geneva, 5+5. I'm talking here about the military meeting. Other meetings were in Gdamis, in Libya, held by different Libyan actors, and the East and the West, which a couple of months ago was in attack against each other. This is a successful part of the story. The second successful one was held in Tunis by the UN missions and the UN Special Envoy, Stephanie Williams. She succeeded with the 75 Libyan people who was in Tunis, putting in mind that they are from different actors and there were a conflict between them. They succeed to fix a date for election. This is the 24th of December, 2021. Plus, they are, until today, they are meeting with the Zoom, with the computers. You know, everybody knows that we are passing very difficult time of the COVID-19 problems. That's why they have they still have meeting today and tomorrow to find a way to choose the mechanism of the new presidential council and the new prime minister, how it's going to be chosen. This is the first obstacle. The second obstacle, as you know, it's going to be different actors and different representing different regions in Libya. And some of the members of the talks would like to have different names from different regions. And other members would like to have everybody elected from the room, from the 75 of the whole set. As you know, the 3 members of the presidential council and the prime minister. They did not find a way yet, and they do not agree on the mechanism if it's going to choose from different regions or they're going to choose from the room, the whole names.
Mr. Maiteeq, in September, you made headlines with news of an agreement with Khalifa Haftar. That agreement caused some controversy. How was it received amongst your colleagues within the GNA? And almost 3 months on, How do you think the agreement has worked out? Has it worked out as you expected? Several people linked that deal with your own personal ambitions. You have indicated indeed that you would like a leading role in any future government. Can you be specific about what kind of role you would like? What are your ambitions?
Thank you, Mary. I think it is very clear. I will put it very clear what kind of agreement is economic agreement put into the oil blockade was lost 9 months, and this is one of the it is the 95% vital for the Libyan economics, and without the financial support of the exporting of oil, Libyan economic cannot survive and cannot build for the next year, and we are basing our budget on this exporting of oil. So it is a very vital issue for Libyan, and reaching an agreement with the East, it sent a hope to the Libyan people that agreement between Libyan could be set very not difficult if there is, you know, a good purpose and a clear target was put on the tables. Regarding how this agreement was received from different members of the GNA, as you know, GNA is a form of government put in place after 2 years of delegation on Skirat, and in Morocco we came to national unity government, and national unity government from different actors. Each one of the member of the presidential council have different background and different, you know, political view, and that's why you cannot agree that the whole presidential council and the GNA is having one view in different cases and different scenario. I believe that without reaching an economic agreement with different Libyan partners on the east and other parts of Libya, we cannot go on and proceed for peace and the ceasefire. It is the agreement who pays for the ceasefire and pays the whole UN talks later on. Without reaching an agreement on 18 of last September, we cannot or we couldn't arrive to where we are today from 5+5 and allowing the airplanes and the flight come from the east to the west, opening the channel from different Libyan actors and opening a very open and direct dialogue between Libyans. That's how I see it, and that's how I receive it. Regarding your question about how I see myself on this, well, I'm a member of the Libyan society. And if Libyan choose a member of their society to be a leader or to act on a position, I will be very happy.
Thank you, Mr. Maiteeq. You were the architect of this agreement that allowed the reopening of oil wells. What are the foundation of this agreement, and what are the main problems? Because there are some problems. Just last week, the Central Bank of Libya did not collect the oil money, but all incomes went to the Libyan Foreign Bank until the top management finds a transparent solution. And the question is, how do you intend to resolve this issue in a lasting and effective way?
As you know, or many people who read this agreement, it's based on 9 points. Most of this point talking about economic reforms and monetary reforms. Most of the problems was based because of the split of the central bank. In Libya today, we have a central bank is the legal and the official one in Tripoli, which is a couple of minutes from my office here, a couple of meters from my office here, and others based on pave, and it is the financial support of the official government or the government of pave. Okay. So, as you know, the oil well and the oil side of Libya mostly are in the center of Libya. It's under Haftar forces, and the other part, which have the main financial support of the Libyan economics in the south, and it's under the Haftar military as well. So, without reaching an agreement about how we can deal with this income coming from from the oil and from you know, the revenue coming from the oil, we cannot guarantee the continuity of exporting oil. This is one side. The other part of it, as you explained, the problem in the Libyan foreign banks and other problem in the central bank is because there is a split between the two central banks in Libya. And the head of the central bank is not only the governor of central bank, but there is a committee from the central bank, and it's split from the east and the west. Today, we had a meeting this morning with the governor of central bank, with the national oil company, with the auditing bureau, and our minister of finance, and the Mr. Sarraj, the prime minister as well. So we were talking about how we end this blockade and how we continue to guarantee that the flowing of the revenue without causing another blockade of the oil. And this can be guaranteed only by reaching an agreement with the East, how we can do first one budget of the country, uniting the Libyan budget. Second, having one exchange rate. There is a big problem about the exchange rate in Libyan monetary system. There is different exchange rate. There is the official exchange rate of the government, and there is the commercial exchange rate, and there's even third exchange rate. And this is creating uncertainty, and sometimes some people feeling injustice on that. So we have to be very direct and attack the problem itself, which is the exchange rate, and have one exchange rate for government use, government use, commercial use, and personal use.
Turning to foreign policy, Mr. Maiteeq, there's been a lot of international attention to the GNA's relationship with Turkey. It's a relationship that has been controversial both inside and outside Libya. Yet Turkey's support for the GNA, whether military support or diplomatic support, has been critical for the GNA. Tell us a little bit more about that relationship as it stands now. What are the main pillars of that relationship, and where do you see that relationship going in future?
Well, as you know as well, after we came, the government national court started in December 2015, and 4 months later, we've been attacked by ISIS in Sirte. And at that time, we had received a lot of help from United States, Italy, and other European partners and friends. We are grateful for all this country and their supports during the ISIS problems. And we succeed to catch out ISIS from Sirte, and we save the Mediterranean, and we save our neighbors from north as Europeans, and our neighbors in North Africa from spreading of this ISIS. Okay, on 4th of April, after the attack of Tripoli, we call for these partners again to help us to support the national government and the legal government of Libya. We send the letters to Italy, to France, to UK, and United States to support the government of Libya, because you know that the government of Libya is under embargo for importing arms and munitions and all support from military equipment. We only find Turkey to stand by us on international side and to support the legal government. And we sign with them an agreement in the daylight, everybody knows. So we have to be very grateful to the people who stand by us on the difficult time.
But what are the main pillars of that current relationship, and how do you see that relationship evolving in the future?
Well, I think we have to focus more in economic and national interest of Libya. As you know, Turkey is a very important partner on the Mediterranean, and we call for all European partners to help a good and positive relation with Turkey and with Libya. I think diverting this relations from military or security stand to economic one, I think is going to be very, very important and going to solve many problems we see today.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The next question is again on military situation and external forces. So in the last period, you have been very active at the international level. And your relations with Moscow are pretty good. Do you think Turkey and Russia will withdraw their military forces from Libya if a new agreement is found? Because this has emerged as one of the critical points in Tunis and in the negotiation in general.
Well, as you know, the sovereignty of Libya is above anything. We have to be very clear on this. We don't need any foreign forces in Libya. And at the same time, we need to be sure that anybody in Libya is a part of a positive act in Libya. So I don't think that any solutions will not include that foreign forces have to leave Libya. It can be respected or receive it in a very well manner with the Libyan people.
Mr. Maiteeq, the election of Joe Biden could bring about a change in US policy towards the Middle East and North Africa. What are you expecting to see from the Biden administration in terms of US policy towards Libya?
Well, there's a lot of problems regarding the new administrations domestically in the United States. And I think that the new administration in the United States will have to face, and they have to face many problems to solve internally in the United States, solving their own problems. I think there's a lot of domestic problems, and within the few months to see, we can see very clearly that they will take care of their own problems within a couple of months at the beginning. But overall, we're looking to very positive roles of the United States on the Mediterranean and Libya, and stability of the Mediterranean and stability of North Africa. I think it's very vital to United States security as well. So I think that the new administration will focus on the whole regions, putting the mind in Libya, but I don't expect it that's going to be very soon at the beginning of the next year or so, because there's a lot of other files. It's have more priorities within the U.S. administration. Hopefully that we can see acting from the United States in Libyan file very soon. This is positive for our side.
How do you see actually the Biden administration affecting Libya's relationships with, say, Turkey and Russia, two countries that have increased their influence in Libya over the last year?
Well, we have to see within the coming next 2-3 months to understand exactly what's the State Department, the new State Department acting regarding Turkey and their relations on the Mediterranean and their European relation as well. We've seen the new administration of the State Department, but until now, I think acting a Libyan file will be very vital to the United States. What's their position? We have to figure out within a couple of months. But I don't think they will stand without acting on the Libyan file.
My next question is about the Italian fishermen's detention, because as you can imagine, this is an important question for Italy. As everybody knows, 18 Italian fishermen have been detained for 3 months in Benghazi. So you have proposed yourself as a sort of mediator to solve this problem, to solve these issues. So could you elaborate on this topic?
Our relation with Italy is very historical relations. And Italy stands by Libya very difficult time. It was one of the only ambassador or embassy was opening during the conflict since the 4th of April 2019 until today, and was reopening again after the conflict in 2014. So our positive and good relation with Italy we have to stand by it. And we know that the fishermen, Italian fishermen, it is very, it's a humanitarian problems, and we want to see them coming back to their home very soon. But at the same time, we have to respect the legal issue on the two countries. They have entered to the Libyan water side illegally, and what's been done in Benghazi, they detained them because they have entered into Libyan soil without any legal issues. So we have to come over these problems, putting in mind there is a lot of legal issues to solve these problems. But I think I can be sure that I can solve these problems very soon with the two sides.
Finally, Mr. Maiteeq, you have been Vice President of the Presidential Council since the GNA's inception almost 5 years ago now. Looking back, and we all know there have been a lot of ups and downs, what do you think were the mistakes made by the GNA? And looking back, how would you have done things differently? What would you have done differently?
Well, differently, there's two issues. I think focusing on how the BC was constructed at the first place, there's a lot of mistakes. The BC was constructed from different actors, but there is no clear rules from the vice presidents. There is no each one for which. And this is creating a lot of problem internally with the BC itself. Secondly, we had not focused enough on the south of Libya and regarding the municipality and local authorities. We should focus from day one on two issues as I began: economic reform and local governors. This is the issue can solve, in my opinions, 75% of the problem of Libya. Going to local government and economic reform, especially about the exchange rate and up system, our monetary system and banking system as well.
What advice then would you give a future government, a future unity government, in terms of this is what we learned, this is what we did wrong, this is what you should do right?
Yeah, I think there's mostly we have to create a government that based on what problems of war and conflict to solve the cause of this conflict in Libya. Don't go until and asking or aiming for big projects, big plan. Just focus on the basic needs of the of Libyan people today. There is very basic needs of the Libyan people. Plus, there is a lot of reforms that should be made within the Libyan system. As you know, Libya was a one-man show for 42 years. And since then, 2011, today, there is no reform on that system. So changing a whole system in one day or one night is difficult. So you have to go slowly and try to change a very basic service to the people, plus changing the whole system from one government to a local authority and governor of municipality, and different regions have their own way of solving their problems.
In August and September, we saw protests right across Libya. In fact, many people said they were the largest nationwide protests we've seen in Libya since 2011. What those protests had in common, they had very different contexts depending on local particularities in the east, in the south, and the west. But the common thread in those protests was unhappiness, a grievance over what is perceived to be endemic corruption in Libya. How seriously did the GNA take those protests, and what has it done since then to tackle those grievances?
We have facing many difficult problems during our 5 years. We had 2 years of this 5 years at continuing attacks in Tripoli, okay? And other 1 year fighting ISIS and CERT. And 1 year there's different problems of militia attack in Tripoli. So the actually governor time of the GNA in Libya is less than 1 year. Otherwise, the other 4 years is the whole conflict and ending problems and war many of them is not a Libyan war, it's more international war like the ISIS one. Okay, so the reality is that we had only a very limited time to base on how to change institutions, change the systems, improving the life of Libyans regarding the water supplies, regarding the electricity, regarding the money liquidity problems. All of these problems, what daily needs of the Libyan people. So if we ensure that there is no another conflict in Libya, another war in Libya, any government in Libya could improve a lot of this basic need of the Libyan people. This is exactly what we need. We need to ensure that there is no another military attack on different cities, not only in Tripoli or government, but different parts of Libya. Once we ensure that, any government can have enough time to work and enough plan to work on it.
Ahmed Maiteeq, Vice President of the Presidential Council of Libya's Government of National Accord, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.